My name is Josh, and for a long time I didn't realize anything was wrong, because nothing ever happened. That's what made it hard to notice. Days passed cleanly, without interruption, without a single moment that felt sharp enough to remember later. There was no break-in, no voice calling my name, no shape standing in the hallway, no sudden noise in the night to force my attention. Just the slow understanding that my life was being observed. Not all at once. Not in a way I could point to. Just a feeling that built quietly, like pressure you don't realize is there until you move. I moved into the apartment in early spring, just outside a mid-sized Midwestern city. 1 bedroom, 2nd floor, cheap rent. The building was old, brown brick, narrow halls, carpet that never quite lost its smell. Everything was handled online, lease signed digitally, maintenance requests through a portal, no walkthrough, no keys exchanged in person, no faces attached to the place. I liked that. I liked not being known. At least I thought I did. The first thing I ignored was the lock. Every time I came home, the deadbolt felt slightly different. Not unlocked, just loosened. As if it had been turned and set back. I assumed old hardware, long days, poor memory. I didn't test it. I rarely saw anyone else on my floor, except the man across the hall, late 50s, thin, always wearing the same gray sweatshirt. Even when the weather warmed, even when everyone else changed. He never stared openly, but I'd catch movement, just enough to know he'd been watching. I told myself he was bored. The first note was on my kitchen counter, a yellow, sticky note. You left the bathroom light on this morning. I stood there longer than I should have. I lived alone. The apartment was too small for confusion about that. The handwriting wasn't mine. It wasn't threatening. Just correct. More notes followed. You got home earlier today. You don't sleep well on Sundays. Nothing invasive, nothing angry, just specific. I didn't feel scared. I felt supervised. I contacted the property manager. I had to dig through old emails to find the right address. No unauthorized entries, he said. Maintenance logs are clean. His reply came quickly, like he'd answered similar questions before. I asked about spare keys. All units have a master override, he said. Standard. I didn't like that, but it wasn't unusual. I submitted a maintenance request for a loose outlet cover. Then I stayed home. I didn't leave for groceries. I didn't step into the hallway. No knock, no sound. Around noon, I got a text from an unknown number. Maintenance rescheduled. You can handle it yourself. I walked over. The outlet was already fixed. I set up a small camera facing the front door. 2 nights passed. I checked the footage obsessively. Nothing. On the 3rd night, just after 2, motion triggered. The footage showed the door. It didn't open, but it flexed slightly, like pressure from the other side. Then a hand pressed flat against it. Palm open, fingers spread. It stayed there for a moment, then disappeared. The next morning, the neighbor spoke for the first time. You won't catch much from that angle, he said casually, passing me in the hall. I didn't ask what he meant. He didn't explain. He didn't need to. I found the folder while packing, tucked between the bed frame and the wall. Inside were printed photos, me unlocking the door, me asleep on the couch. 2 photos, not dozens, enough. The timestamps were recent, too recent, close enough to feel deliberate. The police came, looked around, took notes. No forced entry, no devices found. The neighbor moved out 2 days later. His door stood open for hours, empty inside. The property manager stopped replying. Emails bounced. Calls went unanswered. A final note was waiting when I left, placed on the counter exactly where the first had been. You noticed too much. That changes things. I don't live alone anymore. I don't use indoor cameras. And I don't assume privacy just because a door is locked. Because sometimes nothing has to break in. Sometimes it was never fully yours.